Despite the fact that there were a lot of great games this year, there were also a fair amount of disappointments. And because nothing is more fun for us Dutchies to complain about their disappointments, I give you my top 10 biggest disappointments. But with one disclaimer, disappointments do not necessarily mean that it is a bad game. There will be plenty of good games here, but they will still be disappointing for some reason, but I will explain that here. Oh, and Concord was live for such a short time that I didn't even get to play it, despite the fact that I had received a key. So consider that the uber disappointment anyway. Okay, enough talk, let's get started.
Okay, let's go.
Number 10, Topspin 2K25. Finally a tennis game again, and finally a Topspin game again, this time picked up by 2K, and so you expect the quality of the other 2K sports games. And it was there. I put many hours into it with pleasure, but the content in the end was just not enough for me and too much with microtransactions in mind. Too few cool venues, too few existing players, mediocre graphics, and the fact that you always had to be online, which sometimes led to frustration when the servers were down. It made the total package just a bit of a letdown. And that was a shame, because there is really a lot of potential in this. Topspin 2K25 is a great start, but next year it needs to get more meat on the bones. Then it might be in a different list.
Game, set, and match. Jansen, 2 sets to love.
Number 9, Mario and Luigi Brothership. Although Brothership started off quite good and I really enjoyed it, it was still a bit of a disappointment. This was partly because the really cool gameplay is interrupted far too often by fucking annoying, super slow and endless conversations, and many parts of the game are also full of too many repetitive, boring battles. And so after about 20 hours the boredom sets in a bit, and that's a shame, because when the game succeeds in getting into a flow, then it's really enjoyable. It became painfully clear how important good pacing is in a game, and that was completely missing in Mario and Luigi Brothership. And so it can be found at number 9.
Oh yeah!
Number 8, Star Wars Outlaws. This is not a bad game either, but it is a typical bloated Ubisoft game. And that doesn't have to be bad either, but in the case of Star Wars Outlaws, it all felt too much like Dime a Dozen, albeit in a cool universe with a pretty good story. It wasn't all bad, but it didn't excel anywhere, and that's what I actually had hoped for. Graphic wise, it was really great, but otherwise it was unfortunately too middle of the road.
I am strictly middle of the road.
Number 7, Unknown 9 Awakenings. And if we're talking about middle of the road, then this game can't be left out. This is the definition of it. Graphically mediocre, super basic and often clunky combat, animations and voice acting also a B for the effort, and a story that wasn't all that interesting. The only thing that was still pretty cool was that you had quite a few powers that were also cool to combine, especially temporarily taking over enemies was quite fun. But that trick became repetitive as well very quickly. And so it is here at number 7. Number 6, Rise of the Ronin. This PlayStation exclusive seemed super cool to me, but it didn't grab me and that disappointed me. I found the combat in particular stiff, and so I put it away after a few hours. I'm definitely going to give it another chance and maybe it will click then, but for now it's a disappointment. Graphic wise I also found it disappointing. But you can look past that if the gameplay is cool, but that's not the case yet for me. As a gesture of goodwill, I'm putting it at 6 on this list, because I might find out later that it doesn't belong on this list at all. Or that it should have been much higher.
We shall see.
Number 5, Schim. A bit with pain in my heart, because Schim is an incredibly creative and artistic platformer from the Netherlands, but the style quickly stops surprising you and the gameplay is not very diverse either. In fact, some levels are repetitive and boring as fuck. The game is also not very long, which is not bad because more of these repetitive levels would not have been better in my opinion, but that actually says enough.
Well, that was clear.
Number 4, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. Everything about this game was mediocre. Graphics, story, gameplay, but the worst, the combat, which was broken as fuck. With a simple exploit you could defeat most bosses first try. The fact that the game could not decide whether it wanted to be a Souls-like or not did also not really help. And so I put it at number 4 on this list. Number 3, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. This was a huge disappointment for me. It was supposed to be next gen, a finger-licking Xbox exclusive, the reason why you had to have Game Pass. And the game was beautiful and the story great, but the gameplay, man oh man, it was boring, full of glorified quick-time events and no challenge, as well as in the puzzles. Walk straight ahead and then you would get there by the ridiculous assists with which the game took you by the hand far too much. I got vibes from The Order 1886. Also beautiful and a cool story, but gameplay wise as boring as it can be. If this is next gen gaming, then I am not happy. Next gen means more than a good story that looks beautiful. The gameplay also counts, and that was missing. And so this is such a big disappointment for me that it is in my top 3.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Number 2, Skull and Bones. Not a surprise of course, but Ubisoft's quadruple A pirate game was a huge flop. A development process that took years and millions of dollars, but then you have, in the end, well, nothing.
Nothing, son, it's nothing.
What a fucking boring game this was. How is it possible that this failed, considering that Ubisoft once released the best pirate game ever in the form of Assassin's Creed Black Flag? I always kept a little bit of hope against my better judgment, and so this is the second biggest disappointment this year. Because there was one game that disappointed me even more, and that was this year. Number 1, Tomb Raider 1 to 3 Remastered. Since I had never played these games, I was super excited when I heard that the first 3 parts were given a modern look. And that seemed to be done quite nicely. Graphic wise it was a cool polish that also preserved the soul of the original games. You could also switch on the go so that you could see what it really looked like in the past, which was super cool. The only thing I didn't expect was that they would literally copy the controls, and that made this game a shitty and frustrating game. I couldn't handle it. I would have liked to see them modernize the gameplay or give you the choice between modern or old school, because I understand that there are enough people who played the original and don't understand what I'm talking about. But this is my list and I really didn't enjoy playing it. And that's why this is my biggest disappointment.
Disappointed!
And with that we have them, the 10 biggest disappointments of 2024. What was your biggest disappointment? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked the video. And if you want to see live gameplay, you can do that on Twitch, twitch.tv/gameplayofjay, and don't forget to follow there too. For more content, check the suggestions on the left or the channel on the right. And for now, thanks for watching. Until the next one, bye.